Hi, I am here with Dr. Sherie Zander, and you created a website, which I love the name of it. It's called Communication Magic with Men.
Yes.
And you started this with your daughter.
Yes.
Right? Will you explain a little bit what it is?
Well, we teach women how to speak the male language. And we had an awful lot of women tell us after they had taken some of our courses that it was like magic, the way it affected their relationships, transformed them. So we decided then that we would call our business Communication Magic with Men, because that really says it all.
Right. And so what you were telling me is that a lot of the problems in relationships come because men and women, it is kind of that cliche where it's like men are from Mars and women are from Venus or whatever.
Yes.
But that really is the biggest barrier between relationships, right?
Well, I think it is, because if I say this and he hears that, we're going to get all confused when we try to communicate with each other. Our brains are so different, our hormones are different. There's other differences too that we talk about, but those are two basic important ones. And so then we easily get our feelings hurt, we get angry, we feel abandoned or hurt, and it's unnecessary, because once we understand how the male brain operates, once we understand that, then we know why he said what he did. Oh, that's why he said that. No wonder he said that. And instead of it hurting my feelings, I could just let it go and say, hey, he's being a man.
And you were saying that men, the difference between the way men process thinking and feeling and the way women process it. Could you explain that?
Okay. Well, because of our brain differences and the fact that the left and right lobes of the brain are strongly connected in the female brain. And so as women, we are thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking all the time. And we can't really escape our feelings.
It's hard for us to separate them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we, no matter what we think, there's an emotion attached. Whether it's strong or not, there is some emotional component there. Whereas men, they can either think or feel. And if they don't like what they're feeling, they go over into their thinking and they stay there and they leave their feelings behind. And so that can cause us sometimes to think, why is he so hard-hearted? Why isn't he more upset or more involved emotionally in this crisis that's going on? Well, he's taking care of business. That's his role. And he's able to protect and provide and do what's needed. And then the other thing that creates a problem is that a man then believes that we have that option too. And so if I'm remaining upset over a period of time, he'll say, get on with it, come on, get over it. And he'll think that I'm choosing to stay in that upset place.
And then you're mad because he doesn't understand how you're feeling.
He doesn't understand, and I think, that he doesn't care. Because a man believes that I can step out of those emotions because that's what he can do. He has no clue that that's impossible for me.
So what do you teach couples to do to avoid those obstacles?
We teach so much that it's hard to pinpoint in a short period of time. However, I will say we begin by teaching all the differences, because we think that once you understand the differences, you won't be so upset and you'll have more less conflict.
Right.
Less conflict, because you'll know
that
why.
It's not their fault. It's just the way their brain works, and they're not being insensitive.
Right.
They can't help it. Yeah.
Then on top of that, we provide a lot of tools and ideas and ways to communicate. We teach women mostly, but we do teach men too. We've had courses for men, and we teach them how to speak the female language, and they learn about our emotions, and they learn how to, something we teach, this is just a tip, something we teach both men and women when a woman is upset, mostly he wants to just quiet her down. He just wants it to go away.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know what to do. We say, tell me more. And he goes, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I want her to be quiet. I don't want her to tell me more. But when he says to me, tell me more, that begins to calm me down.
Yeah.
Because I feel heard. And so it does the opposite of what he suspects it will do.
Right.
Now, we tell women the same thing. We say, when a man has an idea that he's set on and you think, oh, that's a crazy idea, that doesn't sound right to me at all. Instead of opposing his idea and saying, no, honey, that's not going to work because of this, and this. Usually that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We say, tell me more. I want to hear more about it. And sometimes we learn things that change our initial reaction anyway, because we don't even know the whole story. We usually just react. We think we know the answer, and we try to talk them into it.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. And also, I think it's fair to say that, there are women who are more closed off and not very outwardly emotional, and men who are more emotional and that sort of thing.
Heidi, that's such a good point, because what I'm saying, the things I'm talking about, apply to most men and to most women, but not to every single one.
Yeah.
There are women who want to be more into their masculine energy, and they're usually drawn to a man who's has more of his feminine energy available to him, and they make a perfect couple too.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. I know that when I was, in my 20s, and I think that there are women and men who do this beyond their 20s, but maybe go for men who are more hyper masculine because it's that immediate animal physical attraction,
yes,
and it's
really
fun initially, but it's not necessarily great for the long-term relationship. So should we be looking for someone who is more in the middle on the spectrum of masculinity, because it's going to be someone who has more of the feminine energy that will be able to also be nurturing and understanding and emotional?
Well, that's a great question, because it's an individual matter, of course, but we all have both masculine and feminine energy. And you're talking about a man who has 90% masculine and maybe 2%
right.
or 0 feminine.
Which is very primally appealing when you first spot the person. Yeah.
Very appealing. Yeah. But when you go to live with a person like that, it's nice to have a man who has more of the femininity. So he has equal amounts of both, or he has 60-40 or whatever. Because then, he, as you say, he'll be nurturing, he'll be sensitive to you, he will be more affectionate, more caring.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that a guy like that, though, the super alpha masculine guy, can change, or do you think it's just biologically where he's set and it'll be hard for him?
Well,
I mean, it obviously depends on the person, but
it does. In general, it pretty much stays the same, but the things that we teach women allow men to modify their behavior, and they modify it in response to us.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that women hold the power in a relationship, because relationships are more important to women in general than they are to men. He's interested in his career, and that's the most important thing in his life. And you may not be number one. The career may be number one. But for us, we're constantly taking the temperature of the relationship. Mm-hmm. And so when we change our behavior, they will change in response to us. But what's interesting is if the man changes his behavior, women think, oh, that's nice, but they don't necessarily change. So women have a lot of power in a relationship. When I make a change, it's going to change the way he responds to me. without me nagging him or telling him what to do or becoming his mom. A lot of us have had the experience of becoming a mom to a man, and he doesn't want to make love to his mom. It really destroys the relationship.
And I think these tips are so great, and I think that so many women do want to help, change their man or whatever. But I think there are some men where you're not going to be able to change them. At what point do you know that, no matter what tactics I use, if I listen to him more or whatever, it's not going to work. He is who he is, and it's not worth all this effort.
Yes, if you're dating and you're wondering if you want to spend the rest of your life with this person, you want to take some time and let it play out and see what happens. You can only observe and see. If you're married and you're in a situation like that, sometimes you have to come to the place where you accept the fact that this is the way it is. And you have to reach acceptance and work with it the best way you can. And with the tools that we offer people, they're able to do that and find some peaceful solutions and some harmony in the relationship, even though the man may be a difficult man.
Yeah. Have you noticed, I'm sure that you've noticed, that there's been a shift with the internet dating, online dating, and maybe kind of taking the romance out of dating a little bit? First of all, there's online dating where I felt like in the past it's just like, I'm looking for someone, you're looking for someone, let's meet, and it doesn't feel whimsical and magical.
Yes.
There's that part of it, and then there's also this kind of eternal hanging out that I feel like is happening, where it's like, let's just watch Netflix and chill, let's just hook up and hang out and not put labels on things. Have you noticed a shift in that way that could be detrimental?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Everything you said is true. That's happening. Another thing along those lines is texting.
Right. Yes. You don't have to pick up the phone and call anyone
Texting
anymore.
is so impersonal, and if a man only realized, women are turned on sexually by what we hear in our ears, and when we hear his voice, we get a little squirt of oxytocin. We get an attraction when we hear his voice. If he's always texting me, I don't have that opportunity to get turned on to him.
And also those initial nerves make things kind of exciting, those initial butterflies of answering the phone and having that kind of maybe awkward first phone conversation or nervous.
It is. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's an exciting thing to have a phone call. Texting is very mechanical, and it reduces the relationship to a mechanical interaction. Of course, texting is convenient at, once you're in a relationship, to let somebody know where you are, what's going on. But carrying on conversations by texting it does damage romance. It's not as conducive to the romantic. It really isn't.
Right. I also feel like I've noticed a lot of guys, it feels like especially in Los Angeles, but that there's this sort of Peter Pan thing where you never need to grow up, and like I said, just hanging out, no labels, also just constantly keeping options open.
Yes.
And in case there's always somebody hotter and better, and there's Tinder, and maybe I'll meet someone on Bumble, and maybe that, I don't know, advice for women and men who are dealing with that.
Well, you're talking about a boy, a man who has remained a boy. And the difference between a boy and a man is that a man sees women, children, animals, and the planet as his responsibility to take care of. And a boy sees women, children, animals, and the planet as there for his pleasure.
Oh, that's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so you're looking for the man, maybe
if you want a man, he needs to step up and take responsibility, because when a man marries, he becomes responsible. He gives up irresponsibility. When he's dating, he can be irresponsible. He does not have to be responsible.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. So, and there are men out there, so just keep your antennas
There are,
up
and
for the
if you
difference.
practice your femininity, and again, this is something we teach women, how to identify, well, what is my femininity, and how do I, is it the way I dress, is it if I curl my hair or not? No, it's none of those things. It's the way you interact with a man that you utilize your femininity. So we teach women to identify what their femininity is, and then use it when they're communicating with a man, and you will draw out the man in him.
Okay, so what's an example of finding your femininity and using that?
Well,
to
it's
flirt with a man?
okay. Well, flirting is one
Is
thing.
that different? Okay.
But communicating, one of the major things we teach women is to respect what a man thinks. Respect his ideas and his thoughts and his opinions. Men are just hungry for this. They want to be respected. Often we don't even know that we're disrespecting their thinking. But there's ways that things we say, ways we react to his idea. Oh, no, honey, that'll never work. Mm-mm. That's disrespectful. Even if I don't like his idea, I can listen to it and say, tell me more, and think about what he's saying and honor the fact that he's bringing me a thought or an idea, and treat it like a gift. I'm going to receive it, listen to it, and then if I don't like it, I can say that, or I can disregard it. I don't have to go with it or act on it. But often we just dump on it the minute we don't like the idea. It's disrespectful. And there's many things we do that are disrespectful to a man.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, it goes both ways. And I think that's the kind of thing that can come up in a long-term relationship or a marriage. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about when you're in a longer-term relationship, so you're not sort of walking on eggshells to make them happy anymore, and maybe they're their little things annoy you a little bit.
You just said something that I have to comment on.
Okay.
Trying to make them happy.
Yeah.
That's not our job, to make a man happy.
Right.
Men, we don't even realize this, but they want so much to make us happy. That's what they want more than anything. And so when I have men come into my office for psychotherapy, they come in with a relationship, or they come in alone, and they will say, well, all I want to do is make her happy. Well, I tried to make her happy. Nothing I did could ever make her happy. She's just never happy. I can't satisfy her. I can't win with her. I never realized what a deep, strong urge a man has. He feels it's his responsibility to make her happy. And it's our job just to let them make us happy.
I like that. That's great.
Just to receive what
Yeah.
they bring to us. Be receptive. Allow him to make me happy. Then he's happy. That's how we make him happy, is by being happy, which is great.
Yeah.
Isn't that
It's
great?
very freeing. I
Yes,
love that.
it is,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
really good.